Hello sports fans and welcome to this gameplay tutorial of History Maker Baseball. So you may be coming here looking for more information about the game. You may be a game player of some of the existing baseball games out there such as APA or games like Stratomatic or Replay or any of the other baseball games that are out there, and you're looking and you heard about this History Maker Baseball, and you thought, well, maybe I want to learn about this video might be for you. Or you may be somebody who already has this game and wants to learn more about how to play it. They read through the rules and they just want a little bit of clarification. This video might be for you as well if you're one of those type of people. Or you may be new to this hobby. You may be saying, well, I heard about these tabletop sports games and somebody said something about History Maker Baseball being a good game to start with. First of all, I fully agree with that statement, that this is a good game to start with. And secondly, this video would be for you because then this is a good chance for you to see how the game plays. So, what is History Maker Baseball? Well, History Maker Baseball, it's a tabletop sports simulation. It's created by Keith Avalon and it's sold by Plaay Games. And you'll notice that there's two A's in play, not one. It focuses on the story of the game over statistical accuracy. It's not going to be as accurate as, say, an APA or a Stratomatic type game, but it's going to have much more narrative in the game, and it's going to have much more story, and it's going to feel a lot more real. The game is based on named qualities for players instead of numbers or letters. And so if you look at a card for any other baseball game out there, it's going to have a lot of numbers on it, number ranges, things like that. It's going to have letter grades and things like that for different things. And so instead, what this game system uses is adjectives for that player. So the player could be a hero, could be a champion, could be a scrapper, could be a sad sack, all sorts of different things, and these are going to determine what the player can do when they play on the field. Also should be noted this game can be played in about 30 minutes once you get the hang of it. I want to put a disclaimer on that though and say that the first time you play this game is probably going to take about 2 hours because you're going to be sitting there figuring out all the little symbols and stuff inside the book and trying to figure out how everything works together. So that first game is probably going to take you 2 hours. You're like, this game never does it complete in 30 minutes. Yeah, it's going to take some time. And probably your first 25 games or so are going to take about an hour because you're going to still be learning the little nuances of the game. But once you get the nuances of the game, it's going to click and you're going to get faster and faster at this game, and eventually it's going to take at most 30 minutes for a game, unless it goes into extra innings, I should say. But most of your games are going to be about a half hour, 20 minutes if you're really good. I can get some games done in about 15 minutes if I really crank through them. Now, that doesn't include setup and stuff like that, so sometimes that does add time to my gameplay. But alright, so if you buy this game, what are you going to get in the box? So you're going to get the game box. And if you look at this image, this is an older image. So the game box that's here is the older game box that they used to sell. They used to sell them in it was a thin cardboard box and it was pressed flat. You actually had to build the box when you got it. The whole thing was shipped in a flat package. Now they actually ship in a box, and they have a thicker cardboard box, which is thinner than this box is, but it still contains all of the game components just fine. Comes with the rules, comes with a game board, so you can see the two game boards that are there. Comes with a gameplay book, which is that red booklet there. It comes with 3 6-sided dice and a decider die. So the decider die is a 6-sided die with 3 dots on 3 sides and blanks on 3 sides. It's basically a 50-50 die. Essentially, you're going to be, it's for like a coin flip type of roll, and you're going to be using that for what's called semi-qualities in the game. We'll be talking more about that. Comes with 2 World Series teams, umpire cards, and ballparks. So you're going to have a list of the ballparks and the ballpark qualities. You're going to have umpires that are used in this game, which also is another thing that makes this game unique among any other games, because there's actually ratings for umpires. Umpires can affect the flow of the game, which is very realistic. In Major League Baseball, you can have umpires that will affect the outcome of the game. So this is a very cool addition to this. And then the other thing that it's the two teams. You're gonna have the two World Series teams. Uh, for the most part, I think they're still shipping it right now with the 1975 World Series, which is the Cincinnati Reds and the Boston Red Sox. However, I seem to remember that they had maybe started shipping it with also the current World Series teams. So, in addition to the 75 teams, you'd also be getting like whatever the last World Series was. So, for example, you'd be getting Los Angeles and Houston. So, there's that. Then we also have the game day charts, which are at the top here. We have this right here. Those are used in the pregame setup. Pregame setup's pretty advanced too, because it kind of gives you a good indication of is the team hot or cold, are certain players hot or cold, what have you. Is there anything special going on? What's the weather? So a lot of games will mimic weather, but they won't affect like hot and cold streaks, things like that. Then the other thing that it comes with is these manager strategy cards. These are the color cards down here. Those are used in advanced gameplay. I will not be talking about those in this video outside of stealing bases and bunting. Otherwise, we're not really going to talk about those too much. So, the one thing that makes this game really unique is the player card. So we're going to take a look at an example player card. And this is a card for Corey Kluber from the 2017 Cleveland Indians. So you're going to see here that it's going to have several components to this card. So first of all, we have the player name, and then we're going to have the position and the team that they played on. So this is a starting pitcher for Cleveland. Then we also have what their handedness was. So right-handed pitcher, right-handed batter, and then there's a usage star here. So a full usage star means that they played pretty much every opportunity that they had. They may have missed a couple games throughout the year, but that's about it. If they have a not filled in star, so it's just an outline of a star, that means that they got about half usage throughout the season. They weren't used all the time. They may have been situational. They may have been on the bench and been a pinch hitter the whole season and just came off and maybe played a few games starting when needed. And then if there's no star, that means that they were very limited usage. They only came in very situationally. So the next part here is going to be the pitching qualities. So if you notice here, it says pitching, and then it says pitching qualities underneath that. These are the descriptors of how this person pitches. So this person is an ace, and it has a semi-quality a semi-dot next to it. That means that they're a semi-ace, and semi means that they're an ace half the time. And so when we roll and check that quality, we're going to use that decider die we talked about earlier. And if the decider die has a dot, it means that they have that quality for that at bat. And if it's blank, it means that they don't have that quality for that at bat. So this Corey Kluber in this example is semi-ace. Then we have flash and control. Flash is for strikeouts. Control is for walks and control pitching and creating ground outs and things like that. The DB in front of that means they're double. We'll talk a little bit about that later, what that means. But just suffice it to say that's very good. Then we have the batting qualities, and because it's an American League pitcher, this person doesn't get up to bat a lot, so they're going to have a lot of bad qualities here. We have sad sack, we have utility, we have scrapper, we have eager, and whiffer. Those are all bad qualities. Okay. All right. Then we have fielding rating, and this player doesn't have a fielding rating. That means they're neutral. It means that neutral or no quality means average in pretty much every situation. So the lack of a quality is a good thing because it just means average. Where we have running here, which is stoic, and so that's a bad quality. Active runners are fast and stoic runners are slow. Then we have experience, so that we can see that Corey Kluber is a semi-icon, which means he's pretty experienced. He's been around the block a bit. All right, then we have the pitching qualities themselves. So this is Corey Kluber still, and we're going to be talking about what these qualities here are. So first of all, we have the main pitching rating, and that's going to be based on the ERA. So for Corey Kluber, he's a semi-ace. And these pitching qualities are based on from worst to best: struggler, workman, none, which means average, star, or ace. So if there's none of these abilities there, that means they're average ERA. If they're both struggler and workman, they have a really, really, really high ERA, really bad pitcher. If they have both star and ace, they're really lights out pitcher. They're really good. So it is possible to have both qualities or a combination of semi of this, semi of that, or maybe semi of one, semi of the other. They come in all weird different combinations, and they all mean different ERAs essentially. If you look at a reading guide for this game, you can see how all of those break down ERA wise, but suffice it to say that having both is really good. It should also be noted that a semi-ace is going to be better than a full star, so that kind of gives you an idea where those go. Then we have qualities that are based on strikeouts. So if you see here that this Corey Kluber is a double flash. So if a pitcher strikes out a lot, of batters are going to have flash. There's no corresponding quality for if they don't strike out a lot. There's just neutral or flash. If they are one of the best pitchers in the league in strikeouts, they're going to have what's called double flash. And this person, Kluber, does have double flash. So what this means is that if the quality is checked and they strike out somebody, and that's not the third out, they're going to strike out the next batter as well. So they get to strike out two batters in a row essentially with that one check. So then we also have qualities based on walks essentially. This is control, overall pitcher control, whether or not they're throwing stuff in the strike zone or letting things get wild and loose. So these are control is going to mean that they're going to get batters to ground out more and produce less walks, whereas wild pitchers are going to tend to give up more walks. They're going to give up less ground outs. And so you can see here, that's what this is. And then there's also double control, so DB control. And in this case, if you have a control check and it results in a play, that play is going to be done twice. For the most part, that's going to be ground outs, so you're going to get two ground outs in a row. However, there is one part on the new 5.0 game version charts where a control pitcher will give up a single, and if you had double control, they give up two singles in a row. So most of the time it's very good, but sometimes it can bite you. So now we're going to talk about batting qualities real quick. We have Giancarlo Stanton as our example here from the Miami Marlins team. And so for this one, the main batting qualities, for this one, Giancarlo Stanton is a semi-hero for the main batting quality. Those range from sad sack, utility, none, which means average, hero, and champion. And again, a semi-champion is better than a full hero. If the batter has both sad sack and utility, they're really, really low average. So as we saw back on the previous slide with Corey Kluber, he was both of them. That means he's, really bad average, probably about 150 or worse. If they have both hero and champion, they're really, really high average. Think someone like Ted Williams. He would have both qualities in full. Then there's also qualities based on the batting power. So as you can see, Giancarlo here, he has slugger and home run king. And these range from scrapper, meaning that they aren't going to hit much at all. They're going to hit singles mostly, to none, which is average, and then slugger and home run king. In general, sluggers are going to hit more doubles than home runs, and home run kings are going to hit more home runs than doubles. And if you have both of them, then you consider a home run legend like Giancarlo here. Then there's also qualities based on strikeouts, and again, we can see Giancarlo has semi-whiffer. Somebody has whiffer, they're going to strike out a lot. And this is not uncommon for someone who is a power hitter, and it should be noted that sluggers and home run kings also get strikeouts in some of their results as well. to indicate that they're swinging for the fences. They're going to strike out a little bit more often as well. If a batter strikes out rarely, they're going to have the good eye quality, so they have good vision here as when they hit. Then there's also qualities based on walks, and Giancarlo doesn't have any of those, so he's average on this, which is okay. If a batter walks a lot, draws a lot of walks, he's going to have the patient quality. And if a batter rarely walks, they're going to have the eager quality. They're going to tend to ground out more. It's kind of the exact opposite of control. So then there's other qualities on the card. We talked about there's fielding rating, a running rating, and experience rating. So the fielding rating can range from gold, which is a gold glove essentially, and iron, which in this case the iron fielders are going to commit a lot of errors. They're going to miss difficult plays in the field, where those plays are going to be made by those gold fielders. They're going to commit a lot less errors. And then if you don't have any quality like Giancarlo here, then it just means that you're not going to. It's going to be average, middle of the road. Then you have running ratings. You have active and stoic. Active runners are going to be able to steal base often, get extra bases when running the base paths. Whereas stoic runners, they're almost never going to steal. They're never going to really push for those extra bases when given the opportunity to do that. And should be noted that sometimes the running ratings are also used in the fielding charts. So, like for example, if an outfielder is stoic, they may not get to that ground or that fly out that's coming in. Then we have experience ratings. So you have prospect players. They're going to have little major league experience or no major league experience. They'll probably be in their first or second year, and that inexperience is going to show in poor choices made during gameplay. And then you have icon players who have been playing in Major League Baseball for many years. They can draw on that experience in their gameplay. And then we talked about usage stars already, so we don't need to go through that again. So then there's also intangible qualities. These are qualities that are not on the cards themselves. These are qualities that come up during gameplay. They're situational for the most part, or they're generated before the game starts. So first one is freshness, and this is the pitcher quality, and every pitcher is going to have this quality, especially when they first come into the game. In general, a starting pitcher is going to have fresh for the first 3 innings of the game and semi-fresh for the next 3 innings after that. There are things in the game that are going to be able to, that can possibly take away freshness or add to freshness. We'll talk about those later, but in general, pitcher is going to be fresh those first 3 innings, and then they're going to be semi-fresh for the next 3 after that. A reliever, they're going to come into the game fresh for that inning that they come into play. Now, if they come into play with 2 outs, they face 1 batter, they're only fresh for that batter. The next inning of play after that, they're semi-fresh. All right. Then we have hot and cold. It should be noted that before the game, you're going to designate 1 player on your team, on each team, to be hot, and 1 player to be cold, and they're going to be hot or cold for the entire game regardless of anything else that happens. For every other player on the team, it's going to be a situational quality. Now during the first 5 innings of the game, that situational quality is going to be either semi-hot or semi-cold. In the final innings of the game after the 5th inning, then that is going to turn into fully hot or fully cold. So in those first 5 innings, you're going to have to look at the decide or die to determine whether or not that player is hot or cold based on other criteria, which I'll be talking about right now. So situational qualities for batters that aren't designated hot or cold. Batters are hot or semi-hot if they got a hit in the last time that they were at bat. They are semi-cold if they got a strikeout in their last at bat. Pitchers are semi-hot or semi-hot or hot if their last batter that they faced struck out, and they're cold or semi-cold if they gave up a hit in their last batter that they faced. Okay, last thing is team harmony or dissonance. This is determined during the pregame setup, and we'll be showing that to you in a little bit. And it's basically whether the team's playing well together or if they're having troubles, and this could have a huge swing in the game. And so these chemistry results will come up during the game, talking about team chemistry and how things are going. And I've seen games where it was pretty much decided by the fact that one team was just not doing well in the dugouts. So these things do come up. So one last thing about qualities, I just want to kind of reiterate: if there's no rating there, that means the player's average. So if you have a player card that has no qualities, that means that player is completely average. They're going to do everything average. They're going to hit average. They're going to strike out for average. They're going to walk for average. If they're a pitcher, they're going to have an average ERA. They're going to strike out an average number of batters. They're going to walk an average number of batters. They're going to be completely vanilla average. And sometimes vanilla is good, because if you have a team of baseball players, because they're average, you're going to have players that are utility hitters. You're going to have possibly some players that may be sad sack hitters that aren't pitchers. You're going to have whiffers, especially nowadays with the way strikeouts are working right now in the league. Pretty much all your players are going to be whiffers, and you're going to have some eager batters, things like that. And pitchers, same thing. You're going to have workman pitchers that you're going to have to work into your rotation. You're going to have workman relievers. You're going to have possibly even a struggler in your rotation or in your bullpen. So you're going to have to deal with that. So sometimes having that player with no qualities is a good thing. All right, so let's go through real super basic gameplay. And this game chart here is copied off the internet. Somebody posted this. This is out of an older game book, so I'm not giving away any of the secret sauce of this game really, because this is older. So this is just a section of the main game charts, and the main game charts will be used for about 80 to 90% of the rolls in the game. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll 3 dice, and you're going to roll the decider die. You're going to take those 3 dice, and you're going to order them from lowest to highest. So if you rolled a 3, a 6, and a 3, you'd get 3, 3, 6. If you rolled a 2, a 1, and a 4, you'd have 1, 2, 4. You're going to look for that dice combination in the game book. You're going to check that first column for the pitcher and see if that pitcher has that quality. So, for example, we have 3, 3, 6, right? And in 3, 3, 6, we are asking, is the pitcher an ace? If so, it's a fly out to center field. So we have the Corey Kluber. He's a semi-ace, so we'd have to check the decider die. The decider die, say it says yes, or it has a bullet, then guess what? The result of the play is going to be fly out to center field. Done. Over with. That bat's done. You're going to roll again. You're going to start over again. However, if let's say in this example, Corey Kluber ended up rolling a blank on the decider die, then they're going to move on to the next check. So now we're going to check the batter card. In this example, we're going to see, is the batter a sad sack, utility, or patient? If this batter is any 3 of those qualities, it's going to be a third strike, and it's going to be a strikeout. And it'll be a strikeout looking in this example. Now, let's say that they're none of those qualities, so then you're going to go to the fielder result, which is going to be basically the final result. In this example, it says single to center field. Now, that final result could be leading you to another chart. We're going to have to roll further on things like a drama chart or something like that. Or in this case, you can see that the result is highlighted in red, which means your next roll is going to be on a different chart other than the main chart. Your next batter is going to be rolling on another chart. The result will be that single to center field, but other than that, they're going to be rolling their next result on a different chart. Also note that there's base running rules at the bottom here. So anytime that the lead die is a 3, in this example that is a 3, you're going to be following these rules for base running. And this will be true for any roll in any chart in the book. If your lead die is a 3, this is how the base running is going to work. There's also different rules for if the lead die is a 1, a lead die is a 2, lead die is a 3, or the other one is if it's a 4, 5, or 6. Okay, so 4, 5, and 6 are together. And in this example, so any ground out is going to result in a fielder's choice. Stoic runner on third is going to hold on flyouts, otherwise score. Runners advance 2 bases on any hit, single or double. However, it's a historic runner at first base. There's special rules that are noted other place here in the book. And that's just kind of how that works. All right. So now we're going to do a basic gameplay example. So we're going to switch to the camera here, and here's the game board. But before we go through that, I just want to kind of show you physically some of the components of the game. So we have right here the game boards that come with the game, and this is something we'll be showing a little bit more in a little bit when we talk about the actual game setup. But here are the game day charts that we talked about earlier. We have the rulebook. Have the ballpark list here and the ballpark qualities, which we'll be talking about in setup. We have the players themselves. So these are some of the players. Normally these game boards would be stacked. So this one would be up here and the other one would be down here. But for camera usage, this worked better to have them side by side. But you know, you can play this anyway. I'm actually playing this on top of my game mat that I use for History Maker Baseball, which actually puts all the players out instead of stacking them. But I wanted to show you the basic components of this game. So these are some of the player cards. Here's Pete Rose from the 1975 World Series. And we have our pitchers. So we have a spot here for the home pitcher, a spot here for the visitors pitcher. We have the visitor batting order, the home batting order. We have a spot for a dugout for the home team with all their other players in the visitor dugout. And we also have these umpire cards. So these are umpires, and these are not the umpires that come with the base game. These actually are part of the Century League set, but this will give you an example of the umpires that do come with the game. And you'll notice that the umpires also have qualities. So they have qualities like lenient, questionable, strict, respected. These are all things that will also get checked during the game possibly as well. So like I said earlier, umpires can have an effect on the game too. Okay, and then the game comes with chips, kind of like this one here, that you can use as base runners as well. I put out here for when we do examples later on, I just brought out pawns. They're a little bit easier to see. Actually on the camera these blue chips might work a little bit better. So we may use those instead. Okay, and then also you have the dice that come with the game. So it comes with a red, a blue, and a black die, and those are important in some situations to determine the color. And then here's the decider die. So as you can see, it has the dots on 3 sides, and then on 3 sides it's blank. Okay, now we're going to go through some of the game charts now. So this is the game booklet here. All right, and we'll look at the main chart right here. So this is the main chart. We're going to play about 80 to 90% of the game. It's going to be played right here. So you'll note on here, and we can look at the 333 section that we've been looking at before. There's a lot of like symbols and stuff on there, special symbols and colors and stuff like that. So let's talk about those really quick. So we talked about our basic gameplay example before. Let's go to 335, where it's going to ask if the pitcher is wild. So let's say the pitcher is wild, and it says base on balls, and it's that little flag there. So you'll see here at the bottom, it has a description of all of the different symbols. And this is why I told you that the first time you're going to play this is going to take 2 hours to play, because you're going to be figuring out all these little symbols. You're going to be figuring out where all the charts are in the book. And those first games, those first 20 games or so that you play are going to take an hour, because you're going to still be getting used to the charts, where all the charts are, what all the symbols are. But once you've learned these symbols and once you've learned everything, you'll have this figured out. So example, that flag, what that flag means is if it's an eager batter, they're going to ground out. It's going to be productive ground out because the runners are going to advance a base, but you're not going to get that walk. So that's what happens there. So we have those special symbols. You'll also note that sometimes, and we'll go over to this page here, that you may be redirected to a chart. So for example, 134, if we get past the gold check, if there's not a gold catcher, and the batter's not a champion, we're going to go to what outfield drama chart. So this goes to another chart. So it's telling us we need to go to another chart. So all the drama charts are on this page here, and these two pages here. There's infield drama, outfield drama, and plate drama. All these drama charts are based on the fielding abilities of players, or defensive abilities, essentially. And so, for example, if we went to this outfield chart and we would re-roll, we roll 2 dice instead of 3. We'd re-roll that decider die with that, just so we have the decider die value available. And then we would check the result on there. So, for example, if it was a 1-4, we're going to be checking for right fielder gold. If that right fielder is gold, it's going to be an incredible sliding catch, a looping liner fly out. Otherwise, batter lines base hit to right field single. Okay, so that's how you get a result off one of those charts. Now, you notice that there was color results on that chart. There's color results on this chart as well. So there's like purple, blue, and red. So if your final result is purple, blue, or red, so we'll go back to our 3-3-3-6 example before. Remember how it said single to center field and it was in red? So that is going to tell us that the very next roll that we do, the next batter that comes up, they're not going to roll on this main chart. Instead, they're going to roll on one of these other charts. So the red chart is player experience. Okay, so player experience is going to measure a prospect or icon for either the batter or the pitcher. And then blue results are going to go to this baseball right now, which is going to test hot or cold of a pitcher or batter. And then on the flip side, we have team chemistry, which is purple results. And those are going to test whether or not the team has harmony or dissonance. Okay? So the other thing that could come up is there are a few results that come up with microchart results. So let us go back to the main chart. So we go to 3-4-4. It says prospect, well hit, fence. Okay, so there's actually a fence chart in here, and it's down under the team chemistry chart here. And so you would roll on this fence chart to determine whether or not the batter punched that thing out of the park or not. So there's that. And then also we have the infamous 1-3-5 results. So 1-3-5, as you can see, there's nothing under the pitcher, nothing under the batter, so it's follow-throughs on those. And then we have what's called unusual results. So unusual results, and this is one that's going to take you probably the most time to figure out. It's going to be based on what color the 1 and the 3 are. So if the 1 is blue and the other dice could be whatever you want. So let's say that we have 1-3-6 and the blue die. You are going to look on umpire charts, and you can see it says blue 1 event mini chart. Okay, so and the umpire charts are based on what the situation is right now. So if the bases are empty, you're going to roll on this one. Let's say there's a runner on second, you're going to roll on that one, and so on and so forth. And they have every conceivable possible thing all the way up to bases loaded here. Now, if you had a red die, was 1, and you had a black 3, you're going to go on this memorable plays on the field chart. So it says red 1, black 3. If the red was still 1, but the black was 5 instead, you're going to roll on this box and bogeys chart. Now you'll notice that a lot of these results on either one of these charts are also going to lead to highlight reels within there. And so there's highlight reel charts like this. These are rare events that happen during the game. So these are things that aren't going to happen every game or going to happen very rarely. Okay. Then if the lead die is black, on that unusual result, so let's say you had this, you are going to go to black 1, Event mini chart, ballpark qualities. So this is going to test the ballpark itself. Is it a big ballpark? Is it a small ballpark? Is it turf? Or is it grass? So, and those are going to be determined before the game. You're actually going to look up the ballpark that you're playing in, and you're going to see, for example, the example that we're going to be talking about later is going to be played in Fenway. Fenway is a grass field, and for left-handed batters, it's normal, and for right-handed batters, it's a small ballpark. So you roll on that chart, and if it's like, say, if it's a small ballpark, sometimes that's going to be a home run. So right-handed batters are going to have an advantage there. And I'm always surprised that the Green Monster doesn't make that side of the field a big ballpark. But okay, so let's go back to the main chart real quick. We're just going to go through a couple examples here. So we're going to have here, we have Pete Rose and we have Dwight Evans. Pete Rose and Louis Tiant. Tiant's going to be pitching, Pete Rose batting. So we rolled a 1-5-5. So you can see in the book here, 1-5-5. There's no pitcher check, so we're not going to check the pitcher card at all. Then it's going to ask, is Pete Rose a home run king? And we look at Pete Rose's card. He's a hero. He's a semi-scrapper and a semi-good eye. So guess what? He is not a home run king. So we're going to check the next column, and it's going to say fly out center field. So he's out. So that's a good example with Pete Rose. And so then we would take Pete Rose, put him at the bottom of the stack, and move on to Joe Morgan. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. So it's very easy, very quick. All right. So we'll move on to the next part of this. Hang on a second while we get to technical difficulties out of the way. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go through this real quick and explain some of those extra charts we saw. So we saw the drama charts. Those are the infield drama, outfield drama, plate drama. They're access to the result of a play, usually the final result after bypassing pitcher and batter checks. They're going to test defensive fielding qualities such as gold or iron or neutral. You have team chemistry chart, which is going to be access to the next chart after getting a result on the main chart where the text is bold purple. These results test the team's chemistry, harmony, or dissonance. You have the baseball right now chart, which is access to the next chart after getting a result on the main chart where the text is bold blue. These results test a given player for hot or cold. And we have the player experience chart, which is the address to the next chart after getting a result on the main chart where the text is bold red. And these are going to test whether a given player for their experience quality, either prospect or iron. Then we're going to have umpire charts. They're going to be accessed off the 1, 2, 3 main chart result, off the drama chart result or wherever. These are going to test various umpires for their quality, qualities. So their umpires respected or strict or whatever. You're going to have ballpark quality charts, which are accessed off the 1, 2, 3, 5 main chart result. These test various qualities of the ballpark. Is it small? Is it big? Or is it grass or turf? Then we have micro charts. These are accessed off menu results. It's a single die roll. So those are like the fence chart, score chart, glove chart. Then we have memorable moments and balks and bogeys charts. Those are also accessed off that 1, 3, 5 main chart result. Those can also lead to highlight chart results. So now we're going to talk about pregame setup. So every time before you start the game, you're going to select your teams, you're going to create your lineups, you're going to choose your starting pitchers. That's all pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. For the example I set up for today, I set it up using the as-played lineups for the Game 1 of the 1975 World Series. You're going to set up your score sheet. You're going to note where the game is being played and the date of the game. You're going to write the stadium sizes and surface on the score sheet so that you can look them up later on during the game. You're going to select your umpires. Then you're going to roll for weather conditions on the game charts, the game day charts. And then for each team, you're going to determine whether or not they're harmonious or dissonant. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to roll a d6. And if the result is less than or equal to the number of games in a row that that team has won, that team is fully harmonious. However, if that die roll is less than or equal to the number of games in a row that they've lost, that team is going to be fully dissonant. In all other cases, if it's higher or whatever, or you don't have, if it's the first game of the season, you're just going to roll a decider die. If the decider die comes up as a bullet, it's going to be semi-harmonious. Otherwise, if it's blank, it's going to be semi-dissonant. Then, for each team you're going to roll on that game day chart, and it's going to be based on if their team is harmonious or dissonant. So semi-dissonant or semi-harmonious, or semi-dissonant or dissonant teams are going to roll on the stormy chart, and semi-harmonious and harmonious teams are going to roll on the sunny chart. And there's going to be various effects on there, and we'll be talking about those in a little bit as I go through the example. On any roll, initial roll of a 6, instead of a result coming off that chart, you're going to have an injury instead. So you're going to roll on an injury chart, and then you're going to note whatever effect comes up. Now, some of those effects are going to have an effect what's called TFN, which means till further notice. So they're going to have a certain condition, TFN. A team can only have 2 TFN conditions at a time. Anytime they get a new one, they're going to replace the oldest TFN that's going to go away, because then at that point it's further notice. So, for example, you could have a pitcher that's hot till further notice. That pitcher will always be hot every time they come up until that quality goes away, because a new one came up. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to choose a hot batter and cold batter, and you're going to note it on your score sheet. Now, the one thing that you probably will do is you look at the previous game that they played in, or the previous few games that they played in, and see, is this player playing hot or not? Are they getting a lot of hits? Are they getting a lot of RBIs? Things like that. And that's going to determine who your hot guy is, and maybe a cold batter might be somebody who's on a slump or whatever. He's not hitting the ball. So that may be the designated cold batter for the game. Now, just to note that those batters have that condition for the entire game, regardless of how they perform during the game. All right, so now we're going to go through a game setup example. So we're going to go back to here, and we're going to go to the score sheet here. I have actually set up a score sheet for this game, and you'll note, and I have this under the thing here, so I've already noted that we're playing at Fenway, and I also noted the qualities here. So it's grass, normal to left, small to right, and you'll see here I have this is the sheet where that came from. So you have Fenway here, and it says grass, small and normal. Okay. I wrote in the lineups for the teams here, and again I base that off of the performances that they had before. I'm going to start both of these teams off assuming that they probably both won a game at least coming into this. I'm just going to assume that they're going to come in with a decider die. So let's roll for Cincinnati. We're just going to roll to see if they're semi-harmonious or semi-dissonant. So Cincinnati is going to be semi-harmonious. So I'm just going to note that on the score sheet just so we know that. And you can see I noted that with a little dot there just to note that it's semi. And the Reds, or I'm sorry, the Boston Red Sox, they are semi-dissonant. Okay, so we've selected our umpires, everything. We've got our lineup set up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the weather for today. So there's a game day weather chart here, and it's based on month and region. We're playing this game in Boston, so that's going to be the Northeast. And we're going to do October, and we're going to make a die roll. So we'll roll 2 dice, and we're going to designate one of these as the lead die. So on this one, we'll say the red die. So 24. And Northeast, if we had an 11, 12, or 13, something would have happened, but none of those came up. So there's going to be no other effects for this game. All right. Then we're going to do the game day results, and this is based on this is the sunny chart here, and then this is the stormy chart. So we're going to roll a black die first, And we'll roll for Cincinnati, who's semi-harmonious. They're going to roll on the sunny chart. They rolled a 2. All right, so it's pitching coach. So we're going to go on this chart here. We'll roll again. 4. And it's going to say a major perk with reliever. So I got to get that on camera there. Major perk with reliever. We're going to roll to see which reliever. It's going to be our least used reliever. And the major perk is they're going to be hot till further notice. So we have to look at the relievers for Cincinnati. I think oh wow, they have really good relievers. So it's going to be Pedro Bourbon. He's going to get that. So he's going to be hot till further notice. So we just note that on here somewhere, that Pedro Bourbon is hot till further notice. Okay, so we just put that up there. There's a little spot there. Now this score sheet that I used, I actually downloaded this from the Play.com website. On their freebie section, you can download score sheets off of there. The ones that come with the game are pretty much useless. So I highly recommend just getting these right off the bat, because it's really cool, because it has a place where you can list your strategy cards if you're using strategy cards, as your TFNs right here, so you can put your TFNs in here. Has spots for actually listing. You can list all your experience and run and fielding for each player, so that you don't have to go paging through your cards. You can just look them up real quick on there. It has a spot for hot and cold, and we'll be going through that in a second. Last thing we're going to do here is we're going to go through the storming result for Boston. All right, so Boston. Sorry, roll black die first. 3. Team trainer, and this one's really hard to see. That's one thing I wish they'd fix in this one, because the color contrast on here is really difficult. They rolled a 6, so it's going to be non-issue, so nothing happens for them for this game. So that's it for that part of the setup. Now we're going to choose our hot and cold. And normally when I play a game just like this, and I could look at the previous game and during their playoff run, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to designate a hot and cold, and usually when I do that, I usually say that the number 2 is hot and the number 8 is cold. So we're just going to do that for both teams. And so you noted here they got hot and cold on each team. And that's that. So they're designated hot and cold. We are ready for play. All right. So a few other things we need to talk about before we actually start playing. So the first thing we're going to talk about is pitching fatigue. We have starting pitchers. They're going to be fresh for 3 innings, and they're going to be semi-fresh for the next 3 innings. Relief pitchers are fresh for the inning that they appear in, and that they're semi-fresh for the next inning. Even if they face only one batter in the inning they appeared in, they are only fresh for that one inning. Pitchers who give up 3 consecutive base runners without an out, they're given the semi-struggler quality. Once another out is achieved by that team for any reason, could be a pickoff, could be catching someone stealing, it could be a ground out or whatever the reason for that out, that semi-struggler quality goes away. Okay. Pitchers who give up 4 consecutive base runners without an out, they're given full struggler quality, and again, this can go away whenever an out is achieved. Pitchers who give up 5 runs in a game, they become semi-struggler, and that is permanent for the rest of the game. They're going to lose all of their freshness as well. So if it happened in the first inning, they get shelled for 5 runs in that first inning, they're going to lose their freshness, and they're going to become semi-struggler for the rest of the game. If a pitcher gives up a 6th run, then they're full struggler for the rest of the game. They already lost their freshness, so there's no effect there. Pitchers relieving in the middle of the inning are given the ace quality for the first batter that they face. So no, if you have a relief pitcher that comes in at the beginning of an inning, they don't get this. It's only if they come in the middle of an inning, they're relieving somebody who's in trouble, they're going to get that ace quality for the first batter they face. Now, if that pitcher is already an ace, they get double ace essentially, and what that means is they get 2 outs if the ace quality is tested on that first batter. So it's pretty cool if you get that. Other things here: stealing, bunting, and stretching a hit. The game comes with optional strategy cards, and rules for their usage are in the rule book, and they're with the optional rules. However, there's a steal card, a bunt card, and a stretching hit card in there, and those cards will have the rules for bunting, for stealing, things like that. So read those cards, and they'll be pretty self-explanatory in telling you how to do those things. Should also be noted that there's a certain amount of stealing built into the game. Also, there's a result in the game book which says the pick off at first base, essentially. What the community has been doing a lot with that result is they usually roll decider die. And if it comes up as blank, then yeah, indeed they got picked off, but otherwise they're caught stealing. So it's a way to build in some caught stealing into the game as well. Alright, so now we're going to go through 2 innings of play. Alright, hang on a second here. Oops. Hang on. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to start with Cincinnati Reds. We have Pete Rose and Luis Tiant pitching. And here we go. So we have our game book. We're going to roll the dice. And away we go. So we had a 2, 4, and a 5. So 2, 4, 5. No result for pitcher. Is the batter a hero? Yes. Single. All right. So Pete Rose leads off with a single. Get things started for the Reds. Okay. Next up is Joe Morgan. Again, we'll pick up the dice, roll them again. 2, 3, 6. Pitcher double control? No. Pitcher batting? No. It's going to be base on balls. All right, so that's a walk. And we have runners on first and second, and we'll throw these little markers out here so you know where they are. So runners on first and second. I'll bring up Johnny Bench. Ooh, 4, 5, 6. All right, 4, 5, 6. No result for pitcher again. Patient. Is the batter patient? No. It's going to be a fly out to center field. So that's first out. And you also notice that that fly out to center field is in red, or in purple. So our next batter, who is going to be Tony Perez, they're going to roll on the team chemistry chart. Now remember that Cincinnati is semi-harmonious and Boston is semi-dissonant. We're going to roll 2 dice and a decider die. So roll the 2, 2, and it's going to say batting team dissonance. Batter not focused. So the batting team does not have dissonance. Batting team is actually semi-harmonious. So they definitely are not dissonant. In this example, they're going to get a double. So lead die was a 2, and in this example, and you really can't see this, but the base running is down here, they're going to get 2 bases on that. So that will score Rose. And I'll move Morgan to third. All right, and Perez gets a double and an RBI. Okay, so we're going to go back to the main chart for George Foster. So roll here. 1, 3, 4. Gold catcher. So I got to check the catcher for the Boston Red Sox. It's Carlton Fisk. He is not gold. I wrote these down on the score sheet beforehand, so otherwise we'd check his card, but Carlton Fisk is not. Then we check champion. Is Foster a champion? He is not. So it's going to be outfield drama. So we're going to go to the outfield drama chart. So again, we're probably going to be checking hot or cold here, most likely. So we're going to roll 2 dice. 1, 3. Outfield drama, right center fielder iron. So we're checking whether or not the Boston center fielder is iron. That's Lynn. He is not iron. So it's going to be a line out to center field for the second out. All right. That'll bring up Dave Concepcion. All right. Then we go back to the main chart again. All right. 3, 4, 6. All right. Again, no pitching result, and it's going to be eager. And he's semi-eager, so we're going to look at the decider die. Decider die says that he's not eager. So it's going to be a base on balls, active steals. He is semi-active, so hang on a second. We're going to get him off to first base, first of all, with a walk. And actually, that will juice the bases. There will be nowhere for him to steal. However, if we had a place for him to go, we would roll because, again, we'd roll this again because he has semi-active. It's a second decider die check, so we'd have to re-roll the decider die. And in this case, he's not active, so he wouldn't have stolen that base anyways. Okay, so bases are juiced. We have Griffey coming up, Ken Griffey. And I tell you, that for an example, this has been a pretty good one. And this result was in purple. So we're going to be going to the chemistry chart, which is trouble for the Sox here. Oops, 2 dice, sorry. 2, 5. So 2, 5 says pitching team dissonance. We actually have to check the decider die because they're semi-dissonant. In this case, they're not. So it's going to be a fly out to right field, and that'll be the third out. All right, so Griffey's done. And we go to the other matchup here now. And because this is taking so long, we may only do 1 inning here. Because we had kind of an active inning there. It was a little more active than I thought it would be. Dwight Evans and Don Gullett. So they're going to face off each other. We go back to the main chart again. 1, 1, 3. Okay, is the pitcher ace or a dynamic? So dynamic is an advanced option. We're not going to be talking about that today. And I'm sorry, Don Gullett is semi. The decider die came up as a bullet, so yes, he is ace or dynamic. That is a ground out to first base. So lead off with a 3-1 ground out. All right, Denny Doyle. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Is there runners on base? No, otherwise we'd have plate drama. Is he a hot batter? So Doyle is our designated hot batter. So guess what? Fence. Interesting. Okay, so we go to the fence chart. So we're going to roll a die again. Now this is going to be based on whether or not, so he's a semi-scrapper, and we'll roll the decider die for this because it's a separate roll, but we'll see if he's a scrapper. Otherwise he's going to go, he'll either go into the scrapper or other, depending on what the decider die says. So decider die says he's a scrapper. It's a 2. It'll be a single. So that fence shot wasn't all that impressive. He gets on first base. Okay. All right, so Gaz is up next. $355. All right, 355. Is the pitcher a struggler or gilded? No. Is the batter a champion? Yes, is not a champion. So it's going to be a ground out to second base unless there's the thumb there. So the thumb means, is the batter a whiffer? The batter is not a whiffer. If the batter was a whiffer, it'd be a strikeout instead. So it's going to be ground out to second base. There's a runner on first, and under these base running rules here, it's going to be a fielder's choice on ground outs. So essentially, Doyle will be out at the fielder's choice. Yaz will get on base. And so Yaz is on first. But Doyle got cut off. Carlton Fisk comes in with 2 outs. One, two, three. Oh, that's you play this game enough, you know that's bad. Because it's always going to be an out no matter what. Basically, it's asking if the pitcher is both flash and fresh. Well, the pitcher is fresh because it's the first 3 innings. And it's asking if Don Gillette is flash. He is semi-flash here. So we're going to check the decider die. The decider says no, he is not. So we're going to skip over that. Batter has nothing, and it's going to be a ground out to shortstop. This little symbol here, there's 4 bases. That is for high error seasons. That's mostly for like dead ball seasons. If that's the case, then it would be an error instead. In this case, this is going to be a ground out to shortstop, so it'll be a 6-3 ground out, and that will end the inning. All right, go to. We'll throw another one here real quick. Hopefully, this next inning will be a lot faster. All right, so we're going to go to Cesar Geronimo. 2-3-5. 2-3-5. Pitcher wild? Nope. Eager. Batter eager? No. It's going to be a ground out to second base unless he's patient, because that's what that hourglass there means, is if the batter's patient, he draws a walk instead. But it's going to be a ground out to second, so a 4-3 ground out. That brings up the pitcher. So the game also comes with these batter pitcher cards. You can see how worn out mine is. I've used it quite a bit, but I play a lot of National League games. I love National League games. But yeah, Don Gillette will be batting here. 1, 2, 6. Okay, is the pitcher fresh? Yes. Line out to second base. So it's going to be a line out to second. All right. And Pete Rose is coming back up. Ooh, 6-6-6. Pitcher an ace? No, Tiant is not an ace. Batter a sad sack? Nope. Deep drive glove. Oh boy. So we're going to go to the glove chart. It's going here. We roll a D6. It's a 1. So it's going to ask right fielder gold. Right fielder Evans is gold. Okay. So he leaps, otherwise home run. So if he wasn't gold, it would have been an automatic home run, but he actually gets a chance at this. There is basically a 1 in 6 chance that he will get the ball, otherwise it's a home run. So a 1 on this die roll here will indicate that he got it. Nope, he didn't. It's going to be a home run. So it is now 2-1 as Pete Rose hits a home run. Okay. And so that is that. Actually, it's 2-0. Sorry, I don't know where I got that the other team got a score, but it's 2-0. And we have Joel Morgan come up. 2-2-5. 2-2-5. Okay, is the pitcher a star? No. Slugger or sad sack? Semi-slugger. He is not, because the decider die says he's not. So it's going to be a single. Center field, and it says active steals. He is active, so he's going to get to first, and he's going to steal as well. Gets to first, gets a stolen base. All right. Johnny Bench. 366. Pinch hitter? Nope. Fly out center field. And that is it for them. We go to the bottom of the second inning, our final half inning we're going to be playing here. Fred Lynn. 3-3-4. So 3-3-4. Ace or star. Okay, so this is one really weird rule of this here. So he did roll ace on this, but on ace or star checks, if the pitcher is semi-ace, they automatically make that check. It's a really weird rule, but that's the one instance where they do make that check. So in this example, there's going to be a pop out to first base. Okay. Petrocelli comes up. Two, 4, 6. Pitcher have control, semi-control, yes. Ground out to pitcher. Okay. So 1-3 ground out. And Rick Burleson comes in. One, 3, 4. Gold catcher? No. Actually, hold on, we gotta check that. Gold catcher, Johnny Bench, he's semi-gold. Semi-die did not come up for him. Batter champion. He is not. It's gonna be outfield drama. Let's go to the outfield drama chart. All right. Roll 2 dice. 1, 3. It's asking if the third baseman is iron. Third baseman is Pete Rose. He is semi-iron. Semi did not come up, so he's not iron. And otherwise, routine ground out. So it's going to be a ground out to third, and it'll be a 5-3 ground out, and that will end the second inning. So after 2, it is Cincinnati 2, Boston nothing, and that is our gameplay example. All right. So we've seen how the game plays out and everything. We'll talk about now what some of the products that are offered with this game that you can buy in addition. So first of all, there's a lot of historical seasons you can buy. Pretty much anything through the 2000s, the aughts, and the 10s you can buy. I think before that, though, it's pretty scattered here and there. You can get some from the teens, you get some from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. There's like 1 or 2 seasons per decade there. It should be noted every August around this time of year, actually, it just came out, they do offer an in-season set, which is done for the current baseball season with the current players where they're at right now. It's done so people can play the end of the season out or play the playoffs when the playoffs come up. So this is a really cool offering that they do. There's also sets for famous fall classics of various World Series teams throughout history, and not just the winners, but also the losers too, because they're also very good teams as well. There's sets for all-time greats for each franchise in Major League Baseball. These are some of the prettiest cards out there. They're full color, beautiful cards. On the back they have like it's like a baseball card. They have some stats and stuff on there about the player. It's kind of neat. Some facts and figures and things like that, and really cool art that they did on it. It was probably one of the best things that's ever been released by the company. And so each franchise has their own team of all their greatest players. It's really neat. There's also a fictional set that they release, and they release this every year. They update it every year and move players around and retire players and what have you. There's 12 teams in that set. They're preset into those teams, but they only have a team number on it, so you can make up your own team names for it. Theoretically, you could just dump them all into a pile and draft your own teams from it. I know people that do that, so that's a possibility as well. There's also a fictional set of teams called the Century League, which is set in the lively ball era of baseball, like 30s, 40s, 50s baseball, maybe 20s. There's only one season for that at this time. I don't think they're going to do any more, but it's a really cool set because it comes with really cool name players, And if you looked at the umpire cards I had out, these were from that Century League set. Like the one guy, his name is Eddie the Thumb McDonald. And this guy actually, he's strict and respected. He turned out to really earn that title because he was throwing people out left and right. It was awesome. So there's some really cool names in there, really cool set. I really highly recommend that one. It's a fun one to play with. There's also a how-to guide out there, and this is one thing that you won't see in a lot of game companies as far as their games, and this is one thing that Play Games does with almost every single game that they offer, and that's that they offer a how-to guide and how to rate your own players and create your own seasons. So you could actually go into Baseball Reference, create any season you want. So if Play Games doesn't sell that season, go make it yourself. $3, you can get the how-to guide. You can do it yourself. You can go through, rate all the players. It's going to be some work. You're going to make your own cards and all that, but in the end, it's worth it. I actually rated the 1957 season as something that they didn't offer at the time, and they probably still didn't offer it yet. But 1957 season, I rated the entire season. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Made my own cards for it and everything, and turned out really cool. And now a new thing they're offering too. This game was originally designed as something that you could like take baseball cards and play a game of this with baseball cards. And so Keith released a baseball card rating set. So it comes with a bunch of oversized index cards. They're full color, beautiful artwork on them, and they allow you to kind of rate your team on the fly. So based on the stats on the back of a baseball card, so you can open up a bunch of baseball cards, start playing right away, and then rate as you go. So as the player comes up to bat, no, is this player's hero? Oh, let's check his card. Okay, look at the rating card. Yep, he is. Okay, good to go. All right, so that's a neat thing. If you get the deluxe package, it actually comes with some old Topps baseball cards from I think '87. And even with the bubble gum still in it too. I don't know what you do with bubble gum that's over 30 years old, but whatever you want to do with that. So some parting thoughts. I didn't go over any of the optional rules in this. They can be found at the end of the rulebook that comes with the game. I highly recommend that you watch this tutorial and then actually look at the rulebook and actually go through and make sure that you look at all the little exceptions that are in the game and understand those exceptions before you play your first game. I use this as a guide for how to play the game, but please read the rulebook and make sure that you're comfortable with the rules. I highly recommend you go out and join the Play Games community page on Facebook for discussion of this game and other Play Games. It's a great resource of information for Play Games. Very active community. It's really turning into one of the best sports board gaming communities out there. Just a lot of really awesome discussion. Very well moderated group. Awesome set of guys. And one of the cool things about Play Games is they offer a lot of events. We just had a Play.con event out in Denver this year, which was a big gathering that we had. We went to a Rockies game. We played games for 3 days. Did like a time machine tournament for baseball. We did a hockey tournament. Did golf tournament. We did all sorts of stuff. It was a blast. But I made a lot of friends there, and I communicate with a lot of those friends on Facebook through that channel and elsewhere. And so the community has become a lot tighter from these events, and he does regional events throughout the country and even in Canada as well. And there's talk of maybe England, if the people in England can get enough money together, and maybe we can send Keith out there. I don't know, but it'd be kind of cool. And so there's that. There's also another YouTuber out there, Steve Tower. He's a friend of mine from Boston, Massachusetts. He runs a channel called After Further Review, and he does a lot of sports gaming reviews, more specifically towards played games, but he does really for everyone. He also does a news segment every Tuesday where he talks about tabletop sports board gaming news. Awesome content on there. Highly recommend you check it out. He does a lot of full games of History Maker Baseball out there, so you can actually go out there and watch a full game of History Maker Baseball. And he doesn't go into the depth that I just went into in the gameplays. I mean, he quick plays through it, but you can kind of get an idea of the flow of the game and get a better understanding of the game. Just watching a few of those videos too as well. Highly recommend you go out there, you check out that channel, subscribe to it, watch his videos. Really good guy, really good channel. If you like this video, I highly recommend you drop a like on it, subscribe to my channel, and share this video too if you like it. You can check out my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group called Bob's Tabletop Sports Games. There's more info on these games and games that I'm playing, including my fictional History Maker Baseball universe, where I play the Kalamazoo Caribou. That's my team. We play in a Great Lakes region, 12 teams. And currently I'm right now halfway through, almost halfway through the season. I'm in the middle of June right now, actually, in my replay. And currently in the lead in my division by 2 games. So quite exciting action going on there. And I do some other reviews, videos, things like that. And I do some other playthroughs. I'm playing through a roller derby league using Roller Rumble, a product of Plaay Games. I'm also working on a History Maker golf season. It's 20 event season using fictional golfers from the fictional golf set for History Maker Golf. So all those things you can check out. So anyways, that's it for today. I hope you guys liked this video. Drop a like if you did, and subscribe. I highly recommend it. Thank you very much, and have a great day.